Be confident, be bold, be authentic, but don't forget to take action. This is Ordinary to Badass, where our stories empower women to step into the spotlight of their own lives and pursue what they're truly passionate about. It's time to step into the arena and become more than just extraordinary. It's time to become a badass with your host, Marie Sonneman.
Welcome to Ordinary to Badass, episode number 44. In this episode, I talk with my friend Deb Meyer. Deb is the owner of a financial firm called Worthy Nest. She is all about redefining family wealth. In this episode, we talk about, of course, redefining family wealth, abundance, mom guilt, and her struggle with all things tech. Stay tuned because you won't want to miss this episode. Oh, but real quick, if you like this episode, I would be so grateful if you headed over to iTunes and left a review. This way, people just like you can find the podcast. So I'd love it if you left a review, screenshotted it, and send it to me on Instagram at Ordinary to Badass so I can make sure to say thank you, because I am so grateful for you. Let's get to the episode. Welcome to Ordinary to Badass. Whether you're ordinary or badass, I'm glad you're here. We're all striving to be confident, bold, and authentic so we can live a life that we are passionate about. Today's guest is Deb Meyer. Deb, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Marie. I appreciate it.
Yeah, excited to have you on the show. But before I go any further, I have got to ask you, do you consider yourself to be ordinary or badass?
Interesting question. I would say I was ordinary, but now I'm a badass.
Tell me about that. When did it change?
Probably within the last 6 years or so when I became an entrepreneur, honestly. That's kind of when I felt the badass calling. It's been an interesting journey. I grew up being very like, I'm going to do everything right according to the book, always trying to be the people pleaser, especially with my parents, and studied hard, tried, get straight A's, all of that stuff. And I realized in my early 30s, I'm like, this is just kind of unsatisfying, trying to please all these other people and have that perfectionist syndrome. So I really moved away from that a lot and started just making decisions for myself of what I thought was going to be best, and not only for myself, but also for my family.
Did you always see yourself becoming an entrepreneur?
Interestingly, no. I kind of stumbled into entrepreneurship, I would say. So when I first graduated college and started working, I thought I was going to be this career-driven executive woman, probably not even have a family or any. I just was very, very career-focused and worked, in public accounting for a couple of years, transitioned into wealth advisory, and just worked really hard. It was in 2013, after I had my second son, that I realized I was sick of this rat race and just feeling like I wasn't good enough. I felt like I was failing in a lot of areas of my life, and especially with motherhood and my relationship with my husband, it was a really tough time. So I ended up walking away from that position. I had been there for about 7 years and really loved the culture, loved the people there, but I couldn't do it anymore. So when I left, I had every intention of being a stay-at-home mom full-time for, indefinitely, but that lasted about 4 months. And then I realized I enjoy getting outside stimulation from the working world. So I don't, have any negativity against stay-at-home parents. I just knew I wasn't cut out to be one of them. So for me, it was a journey of kind of figuring out what skill sets I had from my career before. And I had my accounting firm, SV CPA Services, that started in 2014. And then I added the investment advisory firm a few years later, Worthy Nest. And yeah, it's been quite a cool journey of just realizing that I don't have to fit into a nice little box and be held accountable. This isn't like a plug for entrepreneurship, but that's just the path that I felt called to. And it provided a lot of flexibility for me as a mom and working parent.
I love that. So we just heard a little bit about you, but can you share a bio and tell us some more about yourself?
Sure. So like I mentioned before, I started SVCPA services in 2014. And then in 2016, I started Worthy Nest, which is a fee-only investment advisory and financial planning firm. It's primarily geared towards Christian parents who want to build wealth in alignment with their values. And I also wrote a book and launched a book last year called Redefining Family Wealth. So writing has been a big passion of mine since I became an entrepreneur. And in 2016, when I launched Worthy Nest, I started writing and blogging, and that passion grew into the book a few years later. So it's been a fun journey.
So how did you start your writing journey? And then how did it evolve?
The writing journey for me was, I journaled as a little girl, but I never would share any of that
Right.
publicly. And again, kind of when I looked at my skills academically, math came very naturally to me. I guess writing came as well, but it didn't ever dawn on me that writing was a natural gift. It just, like my parents showed me they were cleaning out their house and they were showing me my old ACT and SAT scores, and I scored really well on writing as well, but it never even dawned on me that was a strength. So as I started that writing journey in 2016, I knew when I formed Worthy Nest from scratch, I was going to need some kind of opportunity to get the word out there about my firm. And I really didn't have a natural tendency to want to go to in-person networking events. And that's just not my comfort zone. I guess I know the badass women are all about getting outside of their comfort zones, but I wasn't ready to do that.
Right.
So I just started writing and publishing those blog posts. And within a few months, I was really fortunate. The organization that that I'm still part of, it's called XY Planning Network. They helped me launch my registered investment advisory firm, and they happened to have a spot, a contributor spot for Kiplinger. So when they saw that I was doing a really great job with blogging, they recommended me for that spot. So I was able to become a Kiplinger contributor pretty early on in my writing journey too, which gave me some extra confidence in that regard, but also just helped me see that the words I was saying was actually mattering and making a difference in people's lives. And that's honestly what it's been all about, is figuring out how I can really use those words to help others.
Right. Which is so important, to be able to convey the message that you're wanting to convey. And it's not as easy as it sounds.
No, it's definitely not.
So you mentioned Worthy Nest and trying to redefine family wealth. What is something that most people don't know about family wealth?
Well, I think a lot of people, when they first hear the term family wealth, they might just think of the ultra wealthy from a financial standpoint of, their yachts and luxury cars and that kind of thing. And that's not what I'm talking about when it comes to family wealth. I think every family is truly worthy of a brighter financial future. And a lot of it starts with the mindset, not so much of the tactics of like which account to have or how much what golden amount you need to have for retirement, but you have to do some self-examination and reflection as you're thinking about wealth, and not only thinking about it from a financial standpoint, but what are some of the other intangible assets in your life, like your friends and your family relationships? How are you strengthening those? If you're a spiritual person, how are you putting your relationship with God first and foremost? So those are the kinds of things I talk about in Redefining Family Wealth, to really look at it in a more holistic manner.
What is something that people can do if they want to start evaluating their family's wealth or money mindset?
Yeah, I think a lot of it first starts with some self-examination, which can obviously be tricky. A lot of us want to just kind of be like, okay, we're doing okay, or what, or maybe if we're not doing okay, we just kind of sweep it under the rug and say, oh, we'll eventually get to that at some point. But you really do have to do some inner work and inner evaluation to see what some of the limiting beliefs you have about money, about scarcity, like those kinds of things that are holding you back, and make a tangible effort here and now to really change that, if that's something that's caused you a lot of unhappiness or feeling like a failure in the past. So a lot of it is that self-reflection, and then if you happen to be married, figuring out, not only your values but also your spouse's values. So I guess a second step would be kind of coming up with some family values that you guys have jointly in common. I have, 10 different core values. My husband has 10 different core values, but together we have about 2 shared family values that we want to pass on to our kids. So thinking about the context of values and what you're trying to accomplish as a family, that's really the second step in this process of building wealth in a, more non-traditional way.
So these values that you're talking about, are they values about like all of your values in life, or are they values about money only?
I would say all of your values in life, because a lot of the values that I hold dearly play themselves out in how I'm spending my money. So my personal values are very much my family and my faith. Those are my 2 highest priority values. And for me, if I'm thinking about the family context, I'm oftentimes trying to spend more of my money on creating experiences for my family that I think we're going to enjoy together, rather than just I don't buy a lot of stuff for myself anymore. I buy a lot of stuff for my kids, and not stuff like tangible items, but again, taking them to amusement parks when they're open, or taking them to food truck nights in our neighborhood, things like that, it's all going back to money, and it all has some kind of correlation to money. It's just what do I personally value? What does my husband value? How are we merging those and figuring that out as we make our financial decisions?
Right. Thanks for explaining that.
Yeah.
So why would somebody come to you, or why would a family come to your firm? What is it that you guys provide for them?
Well, I think a lot of the traditional financial advisors will start with this tactic driven thing. They're like, okay, are you saving enough for retirement? Are you doing this for your college, kids' college savings fund, things like that. And we really start more at that beginning inflection of getting to know your goals, your dreams, your desires, and then what also some of your fears and stumbling blocks have been. Because a lot of it is unpacking that, and it's hard to do that when you're in your own family unit. But when you can get some of that outside perspective, that's really the value in working with an advisor that can have both the technical expertise, but also the empathy to understand that no one's going to come in with a perfect financial plan. It's just not going to happen. And that's part of my job as a financial advisor, working one-on-one with families to really guide them through that journey.
So can you share with us something that you're most proud of accomplishing, whether it's in your business or in life?
Oh, goodness. Probably. I have a lot of great accomplishments. I just think from becoming a mother, that was a big accomplishment for me of just bringing another being into the world. That's awesome. But also from a work standpoint, I really felt awesome when I published the book last year. It was quite a celebratory occasion.
Yeah.
And I think, again, going on this entrepreneurial journey has been an accomplishment in and of itself. If I looked at the person I was 10 years ago, I would have never imagined that this is where I would be right now.
Right.
Because I didn't have any of it. I had one young son at that time, and I was working in a very traditional role.
When it comes to either you writing the book or entrepreneurship, what is something that most people don't know about what it took for you to accomplish that?
it takes a lot of hard work. A lot of hard work, and just being willing to like put stuff out there that may not go well, especially the first time, right?
Right.
You really have to be willing to stick your neck out there and know that there's some things you're going to say or do that people don't like, and you have to learn to live with that. That's been the hardest part, I think, for me, of, again, having this more people pleaser mindset and always trying to do the right thing and be the perfect person. And then realizing, like, not everyone's going to dig that. Not everyone's going to appreciate my hard efforts, or I might say something that offends someone, and I am not intending it that way. That's just how my personality is and stuff like that. So, that would be, I would say, the most difficult part of the journey for me.
So how do you handle that when you said you're a natural people pleaser, and then there is conflict? How do you handle that?
I think it's a matter of knowing that will happen regardless of who you are. There is no, like, it doesn't matter which human on this earth is here. There will always be someone who disagrees with you or doesn't see your point of view. And you have to stop worrying so much about what other people are thinking. That's the real secret to moving beyond that status quo, and knowing that, like, okay, God's giving us these incredible gifts. How am I going to use these gifts for the greater good? How can I turn what might be a really embarrassing or horrific moment into something that can move and, a social cause forward, whatever it is. So, it's definitely something I can talk about that is much harder to do in actuality.
Yes,
but
I hear you.
But it's an important piece to just continue to work at.
Yeah, and I've found, for me, I don't know if this is true for you, but that, like, when I make a mistake or I say something stupid or I'm embarrassed about it, not to delete it or get rid of it. Like, to just kind of leave it as is, whether it's on the podcast or it's on a post on social media or something. Like, I can own my mistake, but to delete it and get rid of it and act like it never happened is, I don't know that I get past it if I do that. I don't know. Have you experienced that at all?
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, if there's something like legit that I said was offensive, I will take it down, obviously. But if it's something that I am proud that I said that and it just didn't sit well with someone, I'm going to keep that up. I posted on my most recent blog post that I just sent out today was on racial injustice and how I can't stand for it anymore. And I know not everyone's going to agree with that. I know there are still some people that see themselves as better than a different colored skin, and I can't change their attitude about that. I can only make them aware of that, like, it really is a awful problem in our world right now, and I just have to be okay with that. I'm not going to delete that blog post or take it down or whatever.
Right. Yeah, no, I had posted a post about, the racial injustice and the stuff going on. And I had used the hashtag All Lives Matter. And I don't think that I understood what that hashtag meant. And so somebody informed me what that meant. And I guess it's taking away from the Black community, but I didn't realize that. And that was 100% not my intent when I was posting it, but I did leave it up because, and I'm said, thank you for sharing. Like, I'm sorry I didn't realize that. But I also want somebody else to learn from that.
Right.
You
can, your mistake can be a learning lesson for someone else as well.
Right. Absolutely. So let's switch and talk a little bit about your struggles. Tell us about a time when you gave up, but now you wish you wouldn't have.
Oh, good. This is a tough one. I'm really having a hard time thinking of a time I just gave up. I will follow through with things even if they're not great, but I can still beat myself up over the conclusion and maybe not restart and go down that path again. So an example would be, at least from a business practical example, I did try to launch a mini online course, like a month or two ago. And it was one of those things that I felt like I needed to do it because of the time we were in, and that it would be this really valuable resource, but I didn't have a lot of time to actually roll out the course, develop it in a thorough way. I was going to do like not a watered down version, but just a mini version of what I thought would be a much better, longer, thorough course. So for me, it was getting something out there, hoping that someone would register. Well, I ended up not getting any registrants. And for me, it was like, oh, this is kind of a blessing in disguise, because I don't have to spend all this time creating it. But at the same time, I was like, well, I kind of wish I would have gotten at least one person to register. So it would have forced me to like make the time to make the course. But in that moment, it was just like, well, it was disappointing, but also a breath of fresh air. From a struggle standpoint, just personally, there have been times in my relationships where I just won't say how I feel, and it can be really damaging to the relationship. I bottle it in for too long to the person that I'm angry or frustrated with. And then when it finally does emerge, it turns out into this anger, screaming,
right.
that kind of sense. So that's definitely, something that I struggle with and continue to struggle with.
Yeah. And I could say that I've struggled with the same thing, because I don't want to offend the other person or hurt their feelings, or I just make like, I'll get over it, but then I don't.
I know.
What is something that you do now when you catch yourself doing that?
Well, now I really try to take a step back and say, okay, did this person, like, usually it's an afterthought when I blow up, right? And then like within 10 minutes, I come back and I'm like, oh, that was stupid. I should not have blown up. Like, I have been holding on to this past hurt, and that has overly influenced things. So I go back and ask for forgiveness. I apologize and say, my behavior was not helpful. Is there any way you can find it in your heart to forgive me? And usually the person does. So yeah. It's just, again, acknowledging those mistakes and then coming to say, I'm genuinely sorry. Is there anything I can do to?
Yeah. And I feel like that's rare. I feel like it's rare that people just come back and say they're sorry and not even make an excuse. Just come back and say, I'm sorry. Oh. And that's powerful.
Thank you, I guess. I didn't know that a lot of people weren't doing that, but I have a hard time going to bed really angry or upset about things and stewing on them for too long.
But I just don't hear a lot of people in general coming up and apologizing for what they did, or they say, well, I did this, but like kind of like a lead way to make an excuse. And so that it kind of negates sometimes the apology. Mm-hmm. But although I think a lot of us add the but or an explanation, but I thought that what you said was powerful. So I know that you said that you're a wife and you're a mother. Have you ever had to deal with like mom guilt?
Oh yes. I deal with it every day.
How do you handle that?
I really just again, I put a lot of emphasis on my schedule and time blocking just in more tangible, practical ways. So when I am with my kids, I'm there, present. I'm not trying to check emails or do this other stuff. There have been seasons where I've been better at that than others. But I really made it a point, I would say 5 years ago, where I was like, I'm not going to miss any of my kids' stuff at school, any of those and I've been there for everything. I am really proud of that because it's definitely not easy, but it's something that is so important to me that I don't want to miss those, and big moments for them either. So that's been a lot of how I guess cope with mom guilt, is just making it a priority that, hey, for the things that are exceptional, whether it's a graduation ceremony or a school play or whatever it is, that I'm going to make time in my schedule that day and be there.
So is it about like being intentional about what you're choosing to do and not do?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. It's all about intentionality and just prioritization. I do a lot of like calendar blocking where I say, okay, I'm going to only have client meetings on these particular days, and I'm going to do meeting prep on these days and whatever. And if I'm scheduling appointments for our sons to go to the doctor or get a screening or whatever it is, I'm always kind of figuring out the days that naturally fit into my schedule to have that flexibility. So but I still, again, get that mom guilt, especially when my husband's working a lot of hours. It's, I just feel like there's never enough time. So we are really committed on weekends to spending quality time together as a family, and evenings too.
So when you were talking, you mentioned time blocking. Can you explain that to people if they're not familiar with what that is?
Yeah, so I just use Google Calendar to really manage. Well, technically I have a Mac, and with the different businesses, I have different email addresses and stuff. So I will literally have like my 9 to 5 that I'm working Monday through Friday, and have big chunks of time where it's like, okay, these are meeting days. This is the time I'm preparing for those meetings. This is the time I'm doing meeting follow-up, and I'm scheduling everything during the workday. I even put a lot of personal things on that calendar as well, just so I don't lose track of stuff that might pop up. But if it's a kid's activity that happens to be in the middle of the day, I'll put that in as if it's a work commitment, but it's in the same color as a work commitment, so I just don't get overbooked. I think that the hardship with a lot of women, especially that are juggling these competing priorities, it can be tricky if you're always switching on and off to different types of activities. So if I'm focused on a blog post, I'm just writing a blog post that, for that morning or that afternoon. I'm not focused on trying to interact with clients or check through emails and things like that. I'm really intentional about, setting aside the 2 to 3 hours I know it's going to take to write that blog post, and just making it happen. There might be a phone call that I get, but I only pick it up if it's an emergency.
Nice.
So those are the kinds of just time management tips I've learned along the way.
Yes, I think it's so helpful to be very intentional and prioritize what it is that you want to do. Otherwise, it's so easy to get sucked in by either your phone ringing or something on social media. So I agree. I definitely have found that helpful. Let's pivot a little bit and talk about your mindset.
Yeah.
Tell me about your mindset and how it has led to your badassery.
A lot of the mindset for me has been about avoiding that scarcity mentality where it's like, hey, I'm not good enough, or I can't do enough. Like whatever limiting beliefs I've had about myself in the past, I really try to move into that abundance mindset. There's plenty of opportunity. There's plenty of ability for me to accomplish goals that I set personally and professionally. I'm all about the mindset. It really does drive a lot of your actions. If you're in a lousy place mentally, it's really, really hard to move forward on your goals.
Right.
And it's played out in my life so much, just as I look at different years and different things that have happened. It's like, if a family member is suddenly ill and I'm there by their side for 2 months straight, I'm not really going to be accomplishing a lot at work, and I have to be okay with that. And knowing that from a mindset standpoint, when things resume back to whatever my new normal is, then I can start, getting into another kind of reaching those tangible goals.
So I've heard a lot of talk from a lot of people about like abundance mindset or gratitude. And I definitely agree, but there's times where I struggle. Like I can be negative. How do you get yourself out of that when you're trying to keep in an abundant mindset?
The negativity is definitely something I think us as women especially face. It's we can be our own worst critics so many times, but a lot of what I do to get out of that is going back to the gratitude. Like, what in my life is going well? What what things are happening right now that are shaping me in a positive way, even if this other stuff isn't going so great? And having that focus. I mean, every morning I wake up and I just say, God, please bless today. Like, thank you for this day. Please bless it. And I usually am pretty happy and smiley most days because I start that day right with that more abundance mindset.
You do have the ability to be happy or smiley all the time, which I love. And I need to take a little bit of that energy. But no, kudos to you, because it has to, I would think it has to be an intentional thing. Like you have to be intentional about being happy. It doesn't just come easy.
It doesn't. And I also read like happiness books. Allie Worthington's one of my favorite. She has a book on living happy, and it's been a fun journey reading her book. She gives like daily reflections and things like that in the book. Part of it for me too is like, I'm never doing a fake smile. If I'm genuinely happy, I'm smiling. If I'm upset, you're going to see it on my face. I can't lie.
Right.
I'm a pretty bad actor. So, but then, a lot of it too is who you're talking with and the energy that you're getting from them. So obviously there are times where I'm talking about something really serious with a friend and it's bringing me down, and you can see it in my face. So,
right.
Each of us have more of a natural inclination towards that happiness or the more despair. But again, I think it's part of creation and what we can do with that.
Right. So can you share with us one of your mindset hacks for your confidence and self-esteem?
Yeah, I would say just focusing on the good aspects of what you have to offer. So if you're thinking, okay, my body's not the way I want it to be, or my kids don't treat me the way I deserve, whatever the thing that's been hanging you up the most, try to think of the polar opposite of that and say, is this really true? Is this something that I can control with my mindset, or is it something that I have to just accept that that's the way it's always going to be? So getting a little bit more open to the idea of having whatever your core problem or struggle with confidence is, and turning that around into like, okay, yes, that might be an issue today, but what could I do a year from now? Picture that future self in like how you want to see yourself a year from now, and really use that as your guiding mantra going forward.
So an example like that, if somebody was like, I'm so stupid, then what would they think? Would they be sitting here turning around thinking like, well, I'm smart, or I'm good at this, or
I'm smart at this, and also I'm going to learn more to better understand whatever the subject you feel like you're stupid in. I mean, I presume you don't think you're stupid across the board in every way, shape, or form, but maybe some people, I don't know. But like, what could I do? Is there a book I could rent from the library, or a book I could buy on wherever? And that will help me get to a spot where I don't feel stupid about this anymore.
Right.
So I don't feel the most comfortable with technology, but I never say I'm stupid about technology. I just say, I better take some time to learn this new technology tool. Or if from a business standpoint, if there's someone that I'm already connected with that could do it better than me, I'm going to give that responsibility to that person instead. So I have an independent contractor that works with me, and he's really good on some of the behind the scenes technology. And I recognize that's not my sweet spot. So I'm like, hey, this isn't my gift. I'm going to turn it around and give it to him. It is his gift. And together we're better because of it. And we deliver that higher value.
Yes. And to not just sit there and beat yourself up over it. It's like, this isn't my strength. It's this person's strength and they can help me. So sometimes it's easier to do that. And then also I would say maybe a year, like a lot can change in a year. Like how you were saying you have tech struggles sometimes. A year from now, you could be totally different in your tech struggles than how you felt today.
Exactly. And a lot of it too, like one of my tech struggles early on was I could not figure out WordPress for the life of me. I was just like so confused by it. I didn't know how to do it, and I was doing my own website. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go on to Squarespace instead because I understand it. The templates are easier, and I did it, and I've been on Squarespace ever since. So like, it's not necessarily all the bells and whistles of WordPress, but it at least gets the job done. It communicates a message, and I was still able to do it. So
for those that don't know or aren't aware, WordPress and Squarespace are used for blogging. They're blogging platforms or hosts, and that's where you put your blog on. And I feel you. I use WordPress and have for about 1.5 years, 2 years now, and it's a struggle. But I'm better than I was day one. I will say that.
Exactly. You can't improve if you don't even try, right? If you just walk away.
Right. So Deb, how do you get inspired and stay motivated?
A lot of that motivation, again, I'm outwardly Christian. So for me, a lot of it is just reflecting on my relationship with God and knowing that whatever I'm doing here, it's good enough for him. And I'm just going to try to honor him and the work I'm doing. So that's where I get a lot of my inspiration from. I also get inspiration from other people that I see that are doing things in a successful way, like other, Allie Worthington would be a good example. She's a great role model for me because she's been a business owner even longer than I have, and she has 5 boys. Right. I have 3. So I'm like, okay, she's doing it. I'm going to follow her example. I think she's a great source of inspiration and someone that can cheer me on. And there have been a lot of other people at different points in my life where I derive inspiration and confidence. And again, going back to our conversation just a minute ago, I think the other piece with your confidence is knowing that it might not all be in you. Like there might be some other person that needs to bring that strength for you to collaboratively work with. So when we look at business partners going into business together, you don't want a carbon copy of who you are. You want someone who has some of these strengths in other areas that can balance out your strengths, and together you're a stronger team. So again, I don't think we're meant to ever be just in isolation. I think there's always this sense of who are some of the other people that can lift me up along the way and make me feel good about what I'm trying to accomplish here.
Yes, so good. I love that. Okay, let's talk about badass advice, and this is going to be a little bit more rapid fire.
Okay.
So what was your turning point for accomplishing your goals and becoming a badass?
The turning point for me was really leaving my job, my 9-to-5 job, and saying, hey, I'm done with it. I'm prioritizing my family, and there we go.
What did that, I know I said this was rapid fire, but what did that moment look like when you were thinking about leaving?
Well, it was a lot of conversations. Like I thought about leaving for probably 9 months before I actually did. I was pregnant with my second son, and I was already thinking about leaving. I had him in January of 2013, and then I didn't leave until October of 2013. So it was quite a long evolution of just like, can we do this? Can we afford to be on one income? Can we do that? And all these questions running through my head. But ultimately, my husband and I just decided, let's go for it. And here we are.
Do you have a morning or an evening routine that you can share with us?
Yes, my morning routine, I get up around 7 right now. Usually it used to be a little earlier, but it's lax during the summer.
Yeah.
And I wash my face. That's like my nice little cleansing ritual. Um, Go do like 10 minutes of just yoga, easy kind of stretching, and read the Bible for about 10 minutes. And then I go out into the chaos to greet my kids who are already up, and give them kisses and ask how they slept and start on breakfast. Sometimes I'll get a morning workout in as well, and that helps me get through the day, just depending on what I have going on that day.
Do you notice a difference when you do that or when you don't do that?
Definitely. I didn't do it this morning and I was kind of regretting it. I'm like, oh, it's Friday. I should be able to get my fun workout in. But yeah, I enjoy, and I don't do like intense workouts. I do like walking in my neighborhood for 2 miles, but
right,
while listening to a fun podcast. So,
it's funny how it still can it's funny how it can still switch your mindset though, or just your energy for the day.
It is. Yeah, it definitely is.
So what's one thing that you've learned from a woman in your life?
I have learned from my mom that it is okay to be vulnerable sometimes, but it's also good to show that you know what you're doing and have goals that you want to accomplish. And it's okay to be like that. It, to me, is what that kind of badassery way is like standing up for yourself, but also knowing that there's a certain vulnerability about your femininity and accepting that.
Yeah.
Moving forward with that.
It's not always easy to do, or we get accustomed to what we think we're supposed to do, but that's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share a habit or a practice that's contributed to your success?
Yeah. So one of the habits I have every day is again, waking up with that, thank you for this day, please bless it. And knowing that throughout the day, no matter how hard things are going to get, that I'm going to kind of reset and reevaluate if something, again, this morning, I had a argument with my son, my 10-year-old son. And then I suddenly was so upset about that my husband's like, what's going on? And then that turned into an argument with him. And I was like, oh my gosh, how did this transpire? But within 10 minutes, I just gave myself some time to cool down. I came to the office and I was like, okay, I'm not going to let what happened there dictate the rest of my day. I'm going to be okay with it and move forward. And it's been a really good day. Other than that,
nice.
A couple of minutes in the morning that didn't go so well.
Well, kudos to you for switching it around, because it can be so easy when you start your day off with chaos to let that bleed into the rest of your day.
Definitely. Yeah.
So,
and a lot of that for me too, as an introvert, I think it's like, I want to get some solitude. So just getting out of the environment of the house, I drove to the co-working space where I'm working, and I'm like, okay, I just need to take a breather away from what's going on. And yeah, it worked out well.
I can relate. I'm an introvert, so I hear you.
Yeah.
Deb, how often do you read, and can you recommend a book?
Well, I read every day. I love to read. Again, weird thing about like childhood, I never really enjoyed reading. So I would do the assignments for school and that was it. And then now it's like, I have way more books than I should. I literally order a book a week, probably. I think I have a problem, but no, I love reading new books and discovering new things. So one of my favorite, well, gosh, there's just so many good books. It would be hard to pick just one, but one that really got me thinking about my life and its direction was Jeff Gowen's Art of Work. And that was a book I read, kind of early on in that, trying to figure out if I was going to be a full-time stay-at-home mom or entrepreneurial route, and just gave me a lot of stuff to think about. So that would be my probably all-time favorite.
Awesome. And I will add that to the show notes so other people can check it out. And with that, let's end with a tip to encourage women who are in the arena fighting for the life that they want.
I would say just stick with it. I know it can be challenging sometimes. I know it can feel like the world's against you. And even when you're living in these uncertain times with coronavirus and the racial injustice, all of this, there's still hope that you can be forging a positive direction on your life and the lives of others. And don't give up.
So good. Thank you. And how can we connect with you?
Redefiningfamilywealth.com would be a good starting point. So I deliver wealth building tips there to families on a weekly basis.
Okay. Thank you so much, Deb. You've been a total badass and I've enjoyed hearing your story.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Marie.
Yeah. And with that, we'll end our show. To all the badass women out there staying in the arena, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, own it and get after it. Hey there, Rockstar. Thank you so much for listening. Wasn't Deb great? I really enjoyed listening to her and hearing her story. If you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, head on over to iTunes and leave a review, and then make sure to screenshot it and send it to me at Ordinary to Badass on Instagram. I'd really appreciate if you left a review on iTunes because this lets people just like you know what you thought of the show. Thanks, friend, and I'll talk to you next week.
Now that you've listened to this episode of Ordinary to Badass, we want to hear from you. Go to our website, ordinarytobadass.com/podcast, and submit your own experience on how you took your life from ordinary to badass and get the chance to be on a future spotlight episode of the show. That's ordinarytobadass.com/podcast. While you're waiting for the next episode of the show, wipe off the sweat, dust off the dirt, and get back in the arena.